What's up everybody, Landon with Late Model Restoration. In this installment of LMR Basics, I'm going to be showing you a general procedure on how to change your rear end gear oil, and we'll be doing the work on this 1992 Fox Coupe. Every once in a while, the rear end in your Mustang needs servicing. It plays a vital role in vehicle performance because after all, its job is to transfer power from the engine to the rear wheels. This task is very simple and oftentimes overlooked by many because of the intimidations of rear end components. Before changing the rear end gear oil in your Mustang, you are going to need a few supplies to get the job done. You're obviously going to need a lift or a jack and jack stands, a socket set, a flathead screwdriver, quality brake clean, rags or shop towels, a putty knife or gasket scraper, a quality liquid gasket product or one of our lube locker reusable gaskets, a drain pan, the correct rear end gear oil weight and friction modifier, and lastly a clear tube to transfer the fresh gear oil into the rear end housing. The alternative to this is to purchase a transfer pump from your local auto parts store. To begin, support the vehicle via a lift or jack stands. Position the drain pan underneath the rear end housing. Loosen and remove all of the cover bolts except for the top one. Leave this one tight and in place so that you can pry on the cover. Now use a flathead screwdriver to pry open the cover so that the old fluid can drain out. Once the majority of the fluid has run out, loosen and remove the top bolt. Finally, remove the cover and set it aside. Use this time to scrape away any old gasket maker and thoroughly clean the rear end with quality brake clean. Rotate the carrier to ensure all surfaces are clean. Go ahead and do the same for the differential cover. Once complete, scuff the rear end housing surface and the diff cover with the Scotch-Brite pad to further clean the mating surfaces. I use a lube locker gasket from our site, LMR.com, to ensure a proper seal between the cover and the rear end housing. Option 2 would be to use a quality gasket maker and apply a thin bead around the differential cover. Go ahead and reinstall the cover and then torque the bolts to 25 pound-feet, working in a star pattern. Now remove the fill plug with a 3/8 ratchet and a 3-inch extension. Use some clear tube to fill the rear end or the transfer pump. Me personally, I squeeze a little fluid in and then make a hole in the bottle to pressurize it with an air gun. It's one of those things, if it works, simply just stick with it. Make sure and use the correct gear oil and the right amount of gear oil. Pretty much all 8.8 rear ends take 2 quarts. Once the rear end is filled, tighten the fill plug and then double check your work. That completes a successful rear end gear oil change. As far as the time frame goes, if you take your time, you can probably bet on about an hour and a half to 2 hours from start to finish. A couple things to keep in mind when changing the gear oil. This is a great time to replace the axle bearings and seals, of course upgrade rear end gears, and service the carrier if it's needed. For the correct rear end gear oil change interval, be sure and reference your owner's manual. Until next time guys, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already done so. Be sure and check out our wide selection of rear end components and accessories for your Mustang from the real Mustang enthusiasts, LMR.com.